So, hi everyone, welcome to the totally accurate history of Landfall. In this talk, I'll attempt to drag you through the history of our studio. You heard a little bit before about it. And I'm gonna mix in a bit about why community is so important to us and talk about some of the lessons that we've learned since we started. So, who am I? I'm Hanna FOGELBERG. To my community, I am the peasant handler. To my peers, I am a community manager, and to men in suits, I usually call myself the Chief Communications Officer of Landfall Games, because it's easier that way. I've been in the games industry for only 2 years. Before I did games, I did PR and community management for the events industry in Sweden, with different nerd-themed events like Comic-Con and cosplay and games. So it's kind of in the world of games, but not really making games. And then I got asked to join Landfall, and I was like, yes, I want to do this. So what is Landfall? Yay. So we're an indie game studio from Stockholm, Sweden. We've done a couple of pretty successful games, and I will go through all of them shortly. We're currently 12 people, 9 full-time and 3 part-time employees. We just got an intern and an office dog, which is super exciting for us. His name is Yoda. He has a little hoodie. He's very cute. So the company was founded in 2015 by Willem Nylund. He had just finished high school and was working on his first commercial game called Brawl. Oh, this is a very pixely gif. So Brawl is not the game that our studio is known for, but it's very important in understanding how we make games and how we kind of came about as a studio. So Willem was stuck in his mother's apartment making games after high school, and his best friend had just moved to another city 4 hours away to study game development. And for Willem, this was kind of hard because he usually turned to his best friend anytime he wanted to show something he was working on with this game. He really thrives on instant feedback. He will always, in the office still, turn Hanna, come over, look at this thing I just made. But he couldn't do that anymore. So he turned to the place where he spent most of his time outside of making games, and that place was Reddit. He started posting on different subreddits. Does everybody here know what Reddit is, by the way? Yes, okay, good. So he started posting on different subreddits, talking about the game, and talking about how he was developing it. And most of the posts actually went really, really well. So like you can see here, it's 76,000 views, 183 comments, and it was upvoted pretty highly on the subreddit. And this provided him with super duper valuable feedback that he could get instantly. So he put the GIFs in front of people online, and then he got 100 comments talking about the game, saying oh, well, I don't like this part or what you're showing me, but I like this part. And he kind of figured out what worked. It also gave him a very valuable following for the game, and also for him as a person, that he later actually funneled into its own subreddit for the game. The Brawl crowd also created the people, the players and the community around the game before it got released, created a Skype chat. That Skype chat became really, really big and is now turned into our Discord, which has 39,000 members. The members of the Skype chat would talk about anything. It's not only about the games. They would talk about life. They would teach each other how to shave, which is also valuable in creating a community that people can talk about other things than games. And those members of that original Skype group are still with us in the Discord today as admins and moderators and stuff, which is really cool. And so the reason I find Brawl so important is that it shows that community building has been a stepping stone for our studio from day one. To have a big following for every game we've done has been very important before we release them. So eventually Brawl sold enough so that the studio could be founded by Willem. His best friend had come back from school, Philip, and then another guy called Petter. And so they started making their next game, which was, Clustertruck. So Clustertruck is a physics-based platformer where you jump on trucks for different levels, and you try to not fall to your death, essentially. It's a really hard game. I have not completed more than like 5 levels, so I can't even play our own game. But it is super fun. So we took kind of the same approach here as with Brawl, posted GIFs on different subreddits, and our own subreddit for Clustertruck, getting super valuable feedback from people in the community and creating more of a following for the game. And also, like, the community for an Brawl was still with us into this game, which is a completely different game, but they were still super excited about it, which was great. So an important thing that was done to keep people other than the Discord and the subreddits interested in the game was to create an email list. If you signed up for the email list, you got access to the beta of the game. And we got this many signups, which is when you release a game, it's really nice to be able to send it out to 300,000 people at once. And we were able to do this because of the virality of the GIFs and because of the community spreading the word. We also did a bunch of like really fun things with Clustertruck. We used a Twitch integration thing that was pretty new back then, which is it's so that Twitch streamers can they can put it on, and then their community can try and mess with them in the game by voting for different events to happen in the chat. And we did a thing where we created special commands that only our Twitch account could make. So what we did, we would go and like hack streams. And we didn't actually hack them. We were just in the chat like spamming these commands. So we can like change change the colors of the trucks. We can stop time and do all these things. And for our community, that was amazing. Like the devs that they went in and trolled their favorite streamer. They were like, oh my God, what? Also for the communities of the streamers, it was amazing because they were already interested in the game because they saw their streamer play it. But as soon as we started messing with the streamer, they got interested in us as a studio. So that was also really nice. The game was also really popular with speedrunners, which funneled a lot of people into the Discord to talk about ways to like beat the levels and do different types of exploits, which was good. So this thing where we put up GIFs and we get community feedback and feedback from people online about what the game should be and what they respond to worked really amazingly for the first 2 games. But during the development of Clustertruck, we also started making this game. This game is called Lots of Cubes, and you've never heard of it. We tried the same thing. We put up GIFs, we put up videos, and no one responded. No one cared. Not even our own community cared about the game. They thought it looked boring. It didn't get any responses. So what kind of happened was that we were really sad because we liked the game, but we realized it wasn't really working. So what we did was to go to Game Jam a couple of weeks after making the first prototype, and we decided to change the game and look at what could make it more marketable. Yeah, so the game became the very first version of the game we're working on right now, which is Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. And I want to show the first trailer because it looks ridiculous. So this game became insanely viral after we listened to the community, and that they said it was super duper boring with the squares, and we made it into these googly-eyed creatures instead. And I want to mention this because a lot of the things we get sometimes is like, oh, you got so lucky. And yes, we got really lucky, but we got lucky because we iterate a lot on our ideas. We put them up online, and then we see what people respond to, and we change the games accordingly. It's super duper important to our process in making games. And we had no idea that this game would be as big as it was, because we were still working on Clustertruck at the time. So we were like, we need to release this game. But we did the same thing where we asked people interested in the game to sign up to get the free alpha. And this is how many people we got compared to Clustertruck. So that is insane. Actually, it used to be more, but because of GDPR, we had to like purge everyone. Yeah. Oh, so yeah. This is kind of how it looked like. I should have just brought the entire trailer as a GIF. So we're currently working on the tabs and have been for the past 2 years. We've had tremendous support from the core community that have been with us since Brawl, but also the people who have come since. It was after Tabs Alpha release, we got 39,000 members of the Discord. Before that, it was just a couple of thousand. We still have the alpha from 2016 is still played every day by people. That is insane. Like, how long can you play a really, really bad alpha? Long time, it turns out. YouTubers are still making videos of it as well. And we try our best to still feed them with GIFs and content of the game and get their feedback. But for a long time, we were in a really rough patch with the game. For the last year, we've had a really hard time making it. Partially because we were very locked in the design decisions we made in the beginning because we'd already shown the game to so many people. So that is one of the downsides of showing it. So we kind of feel like one of the mammoths up here, that one, that's how we feel. The other thing is that the physics system that was created from game jam code was really inflexible. Anytime we made a change to a unit, another unit would break and it would create more and more bugs. So it just became really, really boring to work on. And my struggle during that time is to try to make the community still believe in us and believe we will release this game. And one thing we do is release content, like we release GIFs all the time. But because we got bored, we started making other things on the side. So we made this game. Yeah, so this is a couch online and couch co-op online multiplayer game called Stick Fight. It's inspired by like old school flash animation videos. I don't know if you remember them from the early internet, but there were lots of stick figure videos that became really viral. So this was made in 3 months by 4 people at the company during like weekdays and evenings when we wanted to like rekindle the passion for games. Wait, sorry, got my notes. Yeah, and so the contrast to the other games we've done, this game has been developed very hush-hush. Like we did not tell anyone we were working on this game. Because we were really, really scared that the people that were passionate about tabs would get upset that we were working on something else. So we released like 1 GIF or 2 on Reddit, on Willem's personal Reddit thing where like no one really saw it. And then 2 weeks before release, we released a teaser trailer. We also made sure that people knew that it was a weekend project by 4 developers. We were still working on tabs that we were super bored of, but we were working on it. But we also knew that the same community would be very important to the game's success. So we used our trusted members from our Discord. The trusted members are people who have been with us for a long time that can like level up. We have a leveling system on the Discord. And if you reach a certain level, we will vote you in, like the community will vote if you're a trusted member. And then you get access to early builds of our games. So we use the trusted community, which is like 200 people, to test the game beforehand. We also knew that influencers would be very important to this game's success. I don't use the name influencers, I use content creators usually. I got a note about that today. So we looked at what kind of content creators that our community were really passionate about. And it's not the big ones. It's not PewDiePie. It's not Jacksepticeye. People who watch Jacksepticeye and PewDiePie watch them because of the amount, because of them as people, and not because of the games that they play. So we looked at the smaller ones that had made like 200 videos of our other games, and we invited them to our office to play the game before anyone else. That ensured that we could get the word out to our community really, really quickly when we released the game, because they were all watching all these YouTubers, and they released their videos on the same day as we released the game, and it was very, very valuable. An interesting fact about Stickfight is that when the game reached 2 million sales, it had yet to be featured in any type of game news site or newspaper or anything. None of the major game sites like Kotaku or Polygon or anything had written anything about the game, and it had sold 2 million copies. And that's very much apparent to me that it's our community and the content creators we work with that are the driving force behind getting this game out to people. So we also try to give back to the people who support us by providing free games. One thing we do is to give them the game jam games that we make, which are usually kind of not super well-made games because they were made in 4 days. But we give them to them, and then they make something out of it. Another thing we do, which is our major thing to give back to the community, is that we do April Fool's games. April Fool's games are games where we combine one of our games with a very popular game at the moment and try to make a spoof out of it. So the first year we made Supertruck, which is a combination of the game Superhot and our game Clustertruck. And it has the same mechanics as Superhot, so the trucks will not move unless you also move. It got really, really successful, and a lot of people played it. The second year we did Tab Z. Tab C was a combination of Tabs and Daisy, and then the kind of joke was we were like, oh, we canceled Tabs because no one really wants to play this silly game. Everybody likes zombies and guns, so we're gonna do a zombie and guns game. And then we actually made a game in 2 weeks, which was pretty insane, but it was a lot of fun. And the reason we do this is because we love our community and we want to give back. We like kind of joking with them. It's really, really fun to make other games while you're making your main game. It's also really good marketing to give out free stuff that is marketing for your other game that you're still making. And it's really good for researching what we want to do next. And so the next game we made, and now I want another video, and I'm not sure I can do that. That's really sad. So this was meant to be a 3-week project, but it turns out that making a Battle Royale game in 3 weeks is super fucking hard. So it took us 3 months. So it wasn't really released on April Fool's like we were supposed to, but our very kind community was like, oh, no, it's fine. It's still an April Fool's joke. We believe you. It's a joke. It was more of a joke on ourselves. We spent 3 months making this monstrosity. And we released it for free in the first 100 hours. After that, it went paid because we had to have money for servers. I think we spent like 500,000 Swedish on the first 2 days in server costs when it was free. That's a lot of money. But so in the first 100 hours, we got 3 million downloads. So that was insane. And we really didn't expect it to go that well. So we realized we had to kind of make it into a real game because it gained such a huge following in a short amount of time. So we spent like another month on it, just working on anti-cheat and other things and servers and trying to make the game work well enough. And then we completely burnt out. Like the entire studio had been working for 4 months on this game. And we crunched, and we didn't really mean to crunch. It just kind of happened because we were very passionate about getting this out there to people. So what we did was take 5 weeks off. And it's kind of insane to take 5 weeks off when you just released a game. Like there are lots of bugs, everything is crazy, but we couldn't keep working. And the reason we could do this is because we had the money to do it. We had money to pay everyone for 5 weeks to go on vacation. We also had the community to do so. So because we've built this really, really strong relationship with the players that we have, they were super duper supportive when we said, hey guys, we need to take 5 weeks off. We know that the game is super broken, but we cannot keep doing this anymore. So the post we made about taking time off got really, really positive feedback. And I don't think that could have happened without this building of community that we've done with all of our games. And the good thing about taking a break is that we came back in August, so we were gone for almost the whole summer. And people were, first of all, still there, which is amazing. The player count of the game had gone down quite a bit, which is fine, because we kind of needed it to be able to work on it properly. And people were still waiting for us and rooting for us as a studio, which was really nice. The best thing was that we now figured out when we were gone for 5 weeks and like took a break and took some time off, what was wrong with tabs. So when we came back, it took us a week, and now we're working on the game very, very quickly. Because we just changed the system that we've been working on for like a year that wasn't working. And it took us 1 week to just remake the whole thing. So we should have done that the year previous, but it took us this amount of attention and this break to get there. So now we're back to posting every day on Reddit and on Twitter. This is Willem's Twitter. As you can see, his tweets go pretty well. Like, he's posting lots of GIFs of silly things that's happening when he's testing the game. And it's going really, really well. And we're getting better and better feedback, because we've also been very honest that we're remaking the entire game now after 2 years. And people are really happy about it. So, some lessons that we learned. We've learned that our community is super important to our success, that without their feedback and support, we would probably not have been able to do the things we do. We have learned that making the games you want to make is super important, but also you also have to make sure that there are people there who want to play it. And a good way of doing this is to make them part of the process of making the game. If you give something, you will get something back. Making projects for free to your community is great. You get great feedback, and people are just very happy with getting free stuff. And it's okay to take breaks. Make sure to take care of yourself, and people, if you take care of your community as well, they will be there when you get back. No? Hey, thank you. Yeah. This was my first talk, so I know I rushed it a little bit, but I tried. An attempt has been made.